Now, for something completely different, I'm going to turn to Karsten Sommer, a friend of mine. Oh, and by the way, Steve, did you see my Thule hunter's necklace? It was carved by a hunter in Thule, and Thule is not that far from where you are, except, of course, on the other side of the Davis Strait and so on, but more or less the same latitude. Well, my geography is not perfect. Anyway, I love it. These are all the animals that he hunted. Um, Karsten Sommer is a very special person. He's Danish, but lives in Greenland and has lived there for many, many years. He has been deeply involved in the whole revival of drum music, of Greenlandic music. As most of you will know, traditional music was suppressed mainly by the missionaries who thought it was heathen or something like that, and by other people. Because, of course, the drum music spoke of Inuit values, it spoke of Inuit the goals in life and so on, and that did not always sit well with some of the colonializers. Anyway, Karsten has gone back. He has found in many, many archives, he's found uh, bits of music, traditional drum music. He has also prepared, produced a set of CDs on traditional Inuit drum music, and you'll see an ad later on where you might be able to purchase this. Anyway, Karsten Sommer, I will turn it over to you, and we will enjoy the music. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karsten Sommer. I'm a Danish guy who worked and lived in Greenland since the 70s, both as music producer and also as journalist. I've worked at the Greenlandic record company ULO since 1973, where we have put out all kinds of Inuit music from rock, hip hop to traditional music, more than 180 productions all in all. I have a special hand. I'm born with it. It might show. Don't let you get distracted by that. What is traditional Inuit music in Greenland? The basic answer is Rillat, the drum songs. As long as there has been living people here in this vast country, the drum song has been a part of the Inuit culture. In the town of Inuit on the northern part of the west coast, there has even been found 4,000 years old wooden leftovers of drums, which, due to excellent conditions for preserving material, is the only place where we have found that old wooden leftovers of Inuit drums. But in Alaska and Canada, there has also been found thousands of years of old drums. But the drums come from that part. They started in Siberia, then walking with different Inuit tribes to Alaska, Canada, finally coming to Greenland, to the north, to the west, and to the east part of Greenland. Here you can hear Utterkak singing in 1906 a part of a shaman seance. What you heard here is the oldest existing recording of traditional Inuit music from 1906, 115 years ago. It comes from the Thule region. Osakrak is the man's name, sung a part of a shaman seance. Thule is the most northern settlement in Greenland. Only a few years after the recording technique was invented, brave ethno-musicologists with their phonographic rolls recorders sailed for weeks over the Atlantic from Europe to first North and later East Greenland to document the traditional Inuit music, the drum songs, which has been the backbone of Inuit culture for thousands of years. Drum songs were used by the shamans, who would use the drumming and song to call the spirit to both protect and provide the settlement with, for example, a catch, seals, whales, or other animals if people were starving. The drum songs were also used as entertainment for the locals during the long, dark winter months inside the huts or in summertime outside the huts. And the drum song even was used in legal matters. If two people had a severe disagreement, the village could order them to change it by making a dual song. And the one who made people laugh the most had won. A wonderful thing. We might use that in our world too here today. Here you can hear Bualorsuak singing with locals in 1937. So many don't sing the songs correct, but we do, he says. Several music ethnologists came to North and East Greenland from 1904 and many years after, and succeeded to document the original drum dance through their recordings. In Thule and East Greenland, the drum songs at that time, in the very start of the 1900s, still existed in its original form. But along the vast west coast of Greenland, where most people lived, the drum songs didn't exist as living culture in the year 1900. The missionaries put a stop to that. In the 17th century, exactly this year, 300 years ago, 1721, the missionaries arrived from Denmark to Western Greenland and started to convert the Inuit to Christianity. They considered drum singers, the shamans, as their enemies and prohibited the drum songs, dismissing them as voodoo. There are no stories about people getting killed, shamans getting killed, but stories that they were tied up and mocked by the missionaries, who also destroyed their drums. Only in the Thule area and in East Greenland the drum song tradition survived, since luckily the missionaries didn't arrive there until around year 1900. At that time, showing a little more respect for local tradition, though they also tried to convince the locals in Thule that God didn't approve of the drum tradition. God must have misunderstood something, the Inuit answered, and continued to use the drum, though the missionaries didn't approve it. An old East Greenlandic drum dancer, a woman called Milika Kuitse, once told me that when the local vicar went on vacation from her childhood village, everybody waved goodbye, have a good trip. And at the moment when he was out of sight, everybody made drum dance for several days. Now, when the boss was out of time. Remarkable that still people alive can remember that they were not allowed to perform what they felt were their true culture. But when the missionaries arrived to West Greenland in 1721, they presented what later also became accepted as a part of Greenlandic traditional music, like choir singing. They taught them the pleasure of singing in choir, and still today, all towns and villages in Greenland have their local choirs. Later, the whalers came from Europe, went ashore after a good catch of whale, met the locals, had a party, and played their local polka and introduced violins and accordion. And then it started sounding like this in the small huts. Here Louis Andreasen played on his harmonica, Sakresaki, in his home in Nanortalik. And if you ask someone here in Greenland, is that traditional Inuit music? Of course it is, they will answer. But the drum songs are the real thing, the heartbeat of the Inuit, a unique rhythm and with a spiritual dimension. The drum songs still survive today in their original form, both in Thule and East Greenland, not with the shamanistic aspect anymore, but still following the strict rhythmic rules and a popular thing for entertainment. But how is the general situation for drum songs today, 2021? You won't find anybody standing in a street corner playing drum and trying to put his cap and get some money for that. But the Greenland is on its way back. Many young people have taken interest in the drum song tradition. Many local groups in the towns along the coast take courses in drum dancing. And here in Nuuk, some young people once in a while perform drum songs in the colony harbor where the first missionary Hans Hede landed 300 years ago. And both locals and tourists love the sound of the drum. I myself had the pleasure of putting together a 5 CD box set with traditional Greenlandic music in cooperation with the now deceased music ethnologist Michael Hauser, presenting recordings from 1906 to the 60s, which has given everyone a possibility to actually listen to the best drum dancers from Thule and East Greenland. Michael Hauser and I listened to 800 hours of recording, And on the box set, you can hear 6 hours of the best. And modern music groups also incorporate the distinct rhythm in their songs. Even some churches have invited drum dancers to perform. 300 years after the missionaries prohibited the drum songs, they are back in the church. A good development. So I am optimistic the drum song tradition will survive and develop, hopefully in the whole Arctic region. Here at the end, you can listen to two young rappers, Peter and Malik, who use a song about the raven sung by the singer Amanalik in 1937, and then they make their modern rap together with her. Amanalik praised the raven in 1937, and Peter and Malik raps in 2021. Just as the ravens still exist, we still exist too. We are not going away. Better grow used to us.
Rilatigo, ringi agatigo, rivia hominati soli, sigi vammi papigo, cazzolotto caccolotto, giri sacchigo, risa hominani a un after con me, una habo, cotto rennerano, lummi, un magare, rina, soli, mani, una donuzzi, una dabo, madamo, punnerato, lelo, donni, una da.
That was Dulugard with Peter and Malik, and that ends my story about the role of traditional Inuit music in Greenland. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Karsten. That is terrific. And I think the traditional musical conflict solving is something we could really use instead of these interminable negotiations between, I don't know, Russia, China, the US. It would be nice if they could just stand on a mountaintop as they used to and sing. Some other time, not this event, but maybe in the future, there's of course a very strong musical tradition also in Labrador, where the Moravians influenced and came up with a very special form of music and the brass bands. But the accordion, you have it in Nunavik, northern Quebec. The whalers came here, and yes, it's still very much part of the Inuit culture in various parts of Canada. And the drum music out in the Western Arctic and of course in Alaska is just wonderful. Thank you, Karsten, so much. I really enjoyed that.